Welcome back to Believe in TCU, presented by FanDuel. I'm Zion Trammell, and I've got Seth Dowdle with me on this Victory Sunday for TCU. The Horned Frogs, they have reclaimed the Iron Skillet after defeating SMU 35-24. And, well, TCU can also claim eternal bragging rights. We've got eternal scoreboard on SMU, at least currently until –
like 10 years from now when this game is played again.
Yeah, for the on Saturday, it was the last time these teams will play on the football field for now, as it is currently scheduled. But who knows? It may come up again. But Seth and I were just saying we don't want this game to be played ever again because we've got eternal scoreboard. We're not giving that back up. And hey, they want to play us again. Sure, we can. But
just to be clear, had TCU lost, our rhetoric would be much different heading in. Like, we got to get this game on the schedule next year. Cancel the Arkansas State game. We got to go back.
Yeah, we gotta play this game. This is since we won, we're good. It was such a fun win yesterday for TCU. It's obviously has such a meaningful impact on the DFW Metroplex and the fans of these two schools. It means a lot more than just what happens on the football field for the universities, all of that. It was such a fun win. Glad TCU was able to come out on top in the final Iron Skillet matchup, but there's so much to talk about here, Seth. A lot happened in this game. I'll let you go first. Initial thoughts, where would you like to start this conversation about TCU's win?
This game went a lot differently than I think we both expected it to. Well, there were certain aspects of it that I think we had our nail on the head on, particularly Eric McAlister. I will pat myself on the back for that one. I said that they would go to him quite a bit. I didn't think they'd go to him this much, but it was a less explosive game than I thought. And I say that even though TCU hit a couple of big passing plays. Most of those were kind of run after the catch. There were not that many. The downfield passing attack for both teams was nullified, especially in the first half, where it was a lot more kind of, we're going to make you drive the length of the field for both defenses. And it worked to varying degrees, but I think you saw some of the chinks in the armor for both offenses, where if you make them go down to down for 12, 13, 14 plays, it can get a little bit dicey, especially for a TCU offense that has struggled in the red zone under Kendall Briles. And we saw that toward the end of the first half when that interception occurred in the end zone on that fade route to Eric McAlister from Josh Hoover. But yeah, overall, it just kind of went a lot differently. Obviously, we had talked about it. We were not expecting a lot of stops. This game went under the 64.5 point total that it had by quite a bit, by 10 almost. Really surprised by the defense's ability to limit those big plays for the most part. Obviously there were some, but I thought this was going to be like the Baylor SMU game where it was just points after points after points. And that was not really the case for most of it.
It was, the TCU started out with a 3-and-out, and I was like, whoa, this might be the only one we get this game. And there could have been a lot more opportunities for TCU to get that, or, get the stops on third down. To SMU's credit, they did a really good job early on in the game of converting on third down, and TCU did a little bit better at that. But yeah, I think that was kind of the mindset, was that this game was a lot of points were going to be scored. And I think Sonny Dykes thought that too, because man, he was aggressive early on in this game on 4th and 5. You're within field goal range. You decide to call a QB draw for Josh Hoover. That was insane. I don't think.
And SMU was not expecting that at all. That hole was gaping wide for him to run through.
It was insane. They picked up the first down. Few plays later, Eric McAlister scores that 27-yard touchdown, which was also on third down and
3rd and 13. And
yeah,
that is going to be credited as a 27-yard pass touchdown. Josh Hoover threw that ball off his back foot from his own 45.
Yeah, that was a crazy play. I was like, okay, I'll take it. And then I think, because SMU responded with a field goal. But Sonny Dykes said, we are not kicking field goals today. 4th and 4, at SMU's 25. We're going to go for it. They find DJ Rogers. He gets the first. Then 2 plays later, I think Jeremy Payne scores a touchdown to make it 14-3. And that really set the tone for the beginning of this game. And TCU is not playing around. I love that approach from Sonny Dykes. I think they've been a little conservative in the past, maybe not having your starting kicker. Kyle Lemmerman's out. Maybe that had something to do with it. Or maybe he just felt, hey, we need to go out there and score touchdowns against this SMU team. And it worked and it paid off. So I really think that was a big factor early on in the game.
Yeah, here's the key number if you want to quantify it. SMU 4 for 13 on third downs, 1 for 1 on fourth. TCU 9 for 17 on third downs, 3 for 4 on fourth downs. That's the difference. One of many differences, but a major difference in why TCU was able to come out on top. They were able to convert in those key moments, while SMU, while maybe they were able to do that early on, TCU was able to key in on that, especially later in the game when TCU was able to separate.
Yeah, Coach Dykes, after the game, he gave a lot of credit to Kylan Jackson and Caleb Earlams-Orr. I always struggle to say that name, for their ability to slow down Kevin Jennings in the second half. And, he had a good game. Kevin Jennings had a pretty good game, 24-38.
On a bad wheel, too. That ankle of his was hurting. You could tell he was struggling to get around.
Yeah, it definitely was not easy after a big sack. Thought maybe he was hurt and that they were going to have to take him out. But he went 24-38, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. He threw 2 interceptions. The first one was absolutely huge. Jamel Johnson got both of them. That first one came with about 4 minutes left. Huge play by that TCU defense, being able to create takeaways. And that second one with about a minute left, just already it was already over, but it definitely sealed the game. Sonny Dykes said after the game, he needs to work on his running ability because he could have easily had 2 touchdowns and he kind of just didn't score. You could have had 2 pick sixes, man. But this game could have been even more.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been more of a. I wouldn't call this a blowout by any means, but it could have looked worse than it might have was in reality.
It could have been worse, but yeah, and the secondary as a whole just played much better this game. Kind of kept everything in front for the most part. Jordan Hudson was able to make some plays there in the back half, but compared to what we saw last year, where the defense gave up so many yards, so many points, this season or this game was much improved, and I think we were both right. Guys, let's not panic here about the defense after that Abilene Christian game. I think they'll be okay. And I think this game, while it wasn't perfect, all things considered, it was pretty good.
Yeah, there were definitely some plays that SMU missed on. There were a couple times, I think, when Brinson got behind the defense and Jennings just overthrew him and stuff like that. But for the most part, even when TC was getting beat, there were some throws that Jennings made in this game, particularly his 2 touchdown passes early, where there was nothing that the defensive backs could do about it. They were just in the perfect spot. There was the second one, I don't remember who it was to, where Bud Clark is at full extension trying to break up the pass, and it's put directly in the breadbasket. There's nothing he could have done about that one. I know this is a TCU pod. Overall impressed with what Kevin Jennings was able to do in the losing effort. In many ways, I thought he might have been the better quarterback, to be quite honest with you, just given how Josh was a little bit inconsistent, especially early. He was missing high a lot, but he did settle down, obviously 22 of 40, which is not the best, not the most efficient, but 379 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 of which to Eric McAlister, who I feel like we have buried the lead enough. 254 yards for EMAC on 8 catches, 15 targets, 3 touchdowns, long as 70. Unbelievable game. The second most receiving yards by a TCU receiver of all time, only behind Washington Redskins legend Josh Doxson.
It's crazy. That is insane to think about. My goodness, Eric McAlister. And not even to mention, he should have 4 touchdowns.
Yes,
and quite possibly almost a 300-yard game if it weren't for that botched review.
Crazy
or not review.
Don't even know what happened there.
I really don't. Sonny Dykes burns a timeout. I'm like, okay, well now they're definitely reviewing it, right? All right, let's keep playing. What? What are we doing? An expedited review for that close, and that's
Yeah.
what they were. The announcers didn't say it, but there was apparently an expedited review. Why did we need an expedited review for that close of a call? Like that to me, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I'm
And
misinformed.
something that I was a little bit confused about, and maybe there's some people that know more than me. Last week, we saw the ACC, and this was an ACC officiating crew for this SMU TCU game. We saw the ACC unveil something amazing in that Georgia Tech Clemson game, where we went behind the scenes. We were able to go into the video room with them and hear what they were saying. We didn't have to rely on rules analysts. We didn't have to rely on what the announcers were saying. We just went right into the room. We heard what the refs were saying. We heard what the replay officials were saying. And it was beautiful, right? Like it left nothing to be unknown, right? It brought down the veil of like the conspiracy theorists that think there's some like, stuff going on behind the scenes to push games in certain directions. And then we get in this game, ACC officiating crew, and it's just like smoke and mirrors again. Like it was very confusing. Overall, a bad officiated weekend of college football in general.
Yes.
Very poor.
Very bad. Auburn OU game. Oh man. Oh goodness.
You never liked it when there was a press release sent out about a touchdown and a 1 touchdown game not being allowed to count.
Yes, thank God I'm not an Auburn fan.
And that could have been the case in this game had this game not gone differently. There was a moment when SMU was up in the fourth quarter where I was like, man, if TCU goes on to lose this game, we're going to look back at that play for a long time.
Mm-hmm. It was crazy. But back to McAlister.
Yes.
Yeah, just an unreal game for him. 8 catches, the 254 yards. Insane. I mean, his full like repertoire was on display. I know that interception, he could have been a little more physical there.
He arguably should have had 5 touchdowns if he catches that pass.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But there were times where he was very physical, his run after the catch ability. Yeah. I mean, his speed, just everything was on full display. We finally got the breakout game that we've been waiting for Eric McAlister. In weeks 1 and 2, they've kind of blanketed him, and Jordan Dwyer reaped the benefits of it. He went off, he had the big games, but now is McAlister's turn, and it fired me up because I was really high on him coming into this year, really excited to see what he could do. And man, we've got another talented TCU wide receiver, and not even that could be plural. Jordan Dwyer's also a beast. Joseph Manjack with his
no gloves,
no nothing, just straight vibes and a touchdown for him. But yeah, I'm running out of words to describe this performance from Eric McAlister. He single-handedly changed the complexity of this game. That touchdown he scored to give TCU the lead back is the play of the year so far, and could be talked about for a long time if TCU has a good year. You look back to that play as the turning point possibly.
Because that was right after, SMU goes up 24-21. And I texted you, I said, my sanity is on the line during this drive. My sanity is on the line. Because if TCU gets stopped there, there's definitely a world where SMU just goes right down the field, scores, and that's pretty much ball game at that point. Even though I know there probably would have been like 8 minutes left. But then on a big third down, go to McAlister, breaks a couple of tackles because SMU's secondary didn't go to tackling school, and they didn't practice that in the spring or the fall. I'm convinced of it. And scores a touchdown. Even does the Deshaun Jackson. Sorry, I just dropped my pen. Even does the Deshaun Jackson, running 5 yard disrespectful.
Yeah, would not go straight into the end zone. He's going to circle around.
Yeah, and that gives TCU the lead. TCU then gets a stop on defense. He does it again one more time, and ball game.
It was insane. Just so much fun to watch, and really made Josh Hoover's stat line look good. We talked about it: 379 yards, 5 touchdowns. You think, oh my God, he went insane. But I think even Josh Hoover can admit it really wasn't an amazing game from him. Now there were some drops, there were some plays that the receivers could have
The
caught the
interception.
ball. The interception wasn't really his fault. It was a good ball, but yeah, you mentioned it. He did overthrow some guys. I'm not going to be mad at the performance. I'm not even saying he played bad. It's just that I think expectations are so high for Josh Hoover that when he throws 18 incompletions, you're like, oh, well, that's odd, But a lot of those yards did come from Eric McAlister just being like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. I'm going to take it 70 yards to the house.
This kind of tells you that like you do need to watch the football games, because this was probably his worst game out of the 3 that he's played so far. Regardless, if this is the baseline, if this is bad, I'll take it.
Yeah, if this isn't his best, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine heading into a Big 12 slate that features, I think, some defenses that TCU could score on. But more on that later on this season.
This offense is special. I mean, no Kavorian Barnes. We were really worried about that if he was going to miss this game. He did. It really didn't feel like he was missed a ton. Jeremy Payne had a solid day, 12 carries, 53 yards, had that receiving touchdown. Trent Battle, our guy.
Leading rusher Trent Battle, by the way.
Yeah,
in the year of our Lord 2025, Trent Battle leading rusher for TCU, 7 for 60.
Yes. Look, when Trent Battle gets the ball, good things happen. So
yeah. 138 net rushing yards for TCU. I know it was distributed nicely, which I think it was kind of necessary, given you don't have that bulwark back like Barnes. But I liked what I saw from Payne. I thought he was hitting holes pretty well. Whenever he did, we already known that he had that acceleration, just kind of get to the second level and break off some big ones. I really like that a lot, and I think that should Barnes miss some extended time, then TCU's running back room, can't believe I'm saying this, with Trent Battle and Jeremy Payne, is going to be okay. Which is crazy because these 2 dudes were here last year and they could not do anything.
Yeah.
We had to put Savion Williams back there and say, please run the football.
You're 6'5" wide receiver, please be our running back. Even though you've never probably played running. Maybe he did.
He did that. Didn't the Packers line him up in a Wildcat like a couple weeks ago? Okay.
Yeah, they're starting to utilize him in the Wildcat. Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, so I think that, the kind of talking, you mentioned the running backs looking a little better. Wanted to get a little bit into the O-line as well, because it was good running, but with running the football, but there was a lot of false starts, and Josh Hoover was pressured a lot with a 4-man front. Like, SMU did not blitz a ton in that game, and they were able to get pressure a decent amount on Josh Hoover. I would say not the greatest game from the offensive line, in my opinion.
Yes, it was, especially, I think overall, just like for both
false
teams. False starts bad. At home, that crowd was not loud whenever TCU had the ball. It was just not good. SMU had a 19.5% havoc rate on defense, which, if you're unfamiliar with what that means, that just is any play that generates a havoc event, such as a tackle for loss, a pass deflection, or a turnover. A lot of just, getting in the backfield and creating insane, badly situations for TCU, including on the last play that TCU ran from offense, which was, I do want to talk about this. The dumbest thing that TCU has ever done was throw the offense back out there on 4th and 15. When the game is over, just kick the field goal. I don't care. Even if you miss it, it's over. Are you worried that they're gonna block it? I don't know what
Yeah, I would be more fearful of a pick 6 than a blocked field goal.
And then the defensive line for SMU, who's like barely trying, gets pressure. Josh goes down. TCU offensive lineman kind of rolls up on him. He gets up limping. I am sitting here like, if our season ends on this, essentially is how it would end. And then he comes back and kneels it out. He said after the game he had a finger and a double leg cramp. I don't know how that's possible.
Goodness gracious.
Give this man some mustard.
Yeah. Stretch.
Yeah. So hopefully he's good, but that was a little scary and just kind of indicative of the whole day of, like I said in the last week, I thought TCU could block SMU. Partially correct on that. I thought they did an okay job in the rush game, but passing and pass protection, it was left some to be desired.
100%. That was scary. That play should never have happened. Luckily, he came out, took the final snap. Game was over, but goodness gracious. That was my heart sunk. My heart sunk. I was like, guys, what is going on? So, yeah, those are a couple negatives, but hey, we got to talk about them. But it was overall very, very fun game.
Got to stay disciplined is like the big key when it comes just overall on both sides of the ball. I know I just saw you kind of grimace. I know exactly what we're going to talk about in a second. But I want to stick with the procedural penalties first. Got to clean those up. SMU was having trouble with it too. But once they came out in the second half, they figured it out. I don't think they even committed an infraction in the second half. But TCU it was a game-long problem for TCU, including the worst one of the day. Zion, I'll tee it up for you.
Yeah, the Max Carroll unsportsmanlike conduct made one of the best plays of the game defensively, came down, made a great tackle, stopped him, 4th down. Let's go. We're off the field. You know what? No, actually, I'm going to go straight into his grill and bump him right in front of the referee and our sideline.
And probably say some words that were not nice.
Exactly. And SMU gets the first down. They drive down the field. And I think they scored a touchdown, right?
They did. And that was what made it 21-17. It was 21-10, and TCU was going to be getting the ball back with an opportunity to pretty much put the game away.
Yeah, it was looking good. And I know Max Carroll probably feels awful about that. And I know the guys, Caleb Earlham's Orr was yelling at him. And, I'm sure looking back, he probably regrets it and didn't feel great about it. But yeah, cannot have that because that almost cost TCU big time.
It's one of the dumbest things I've seen a player do in a long time. And I don't want to rag on the kid too much. I didn't see him on the field again after that. So
yeah, I don't think I did either. Yeah.
Which is a shame because he made a really good play. That was a really good play and should be a plus that when we're talking about the defense, is that TCU's defense came up and they put this game away, gave the offense a chance to just put the hammer down. And unfortunately, that was probably a big turning point in why this game was even close in the first place. Because I think if TCU had some momentum, they had just scored on the drive before to make it 21-10. You get a stop, you get the ball back, offense is kind of humming a little bit, go down there, make it 28-10, 18-point deficit midway through the third quarter. Not insurmountable, but definitely nothing that's easy for SMU to get over, but instead it's 21-17. SMU ends up taking the lead, and we have to rely on Eric McAlister making SMU's defensive backs look like little babies to win this game.
Yes, shout out Eric McAlister.
Thank you, Eric McAlister.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about from this game, or do you feel? I feel like I've said my piece, but there is another one more thing.
I think that you leave this one, you feel pretty good. Obviously, you just won might be the most obvious statement I've ever said in my life. You have the Iron Skillet in your possession. You're 3-0 for the first time since 2022. I don't know if people remember what happened in 2022. Yes, pretty good year. And you're heading into Big 12 play on a high, which is more than you could have said last year, where you kind of were in this same spot in the season last season, and you're just blowing a big lead to UCF and giving up 66 points on the road to one of your biggest rivals. Now you have 2 wins under your belt that make you feel good about yourself. Yeah, I know UNC stinks. And in our weekly UNC update, which I will get to right now, UNC lost by almost 30 points to a UCF team that will finish in the bottom third of the Big 12. Bad news. UNC stinks. Abilene Christian is an FCS school, and SMU is probably not as good as they were last year. Well, definitely not as good as they were last year. I should say that. But you feel good regardless because you've looked better. And I think that's the biggest thing that I take away from these first 3 games.
Yeah, you've looked better while doing it, and you just, we talked about this game as kind of a season-altering game. You lose it, and you're like, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. But now vibes are at an all-time high right now in Fort Worth. You win a heated rivalry game like this, and you've got a ton of confidence heading into Big 12 play. You know who doesn't have a lot of confidence and is a little salty? Rhett Lashlee.
Yeah.
He's a little salty after that crushing defeat.
Yeah, I have his like bajillion sentence statement that he said at his press conference. This is long. We're not going to read the whole thing, but just to summarize it, essentially it was like, we're better. They don't want to play us because we're getting better. The he alluded to that the ACC is a top 3 league. I think that if you were to look at the numbers right now in 2025, that is not the case. The Big 12 has fared better. I mean, they're 6-1 against ACC opponents. The Big 12 is, with the lone loss being a Georgia Tech win over Colorado by 7 in Boulder. And essentially it was just like, hey, like if they want to schedule Arkansas State, that's fine. We're going to go play Notre Dame. We're going to go play LSU. We're going to go play OU, blah, blah, blah. They're scared of us because we're getting better is essentially what the rationale was. Salty, to say the least. He did say that they were motivated and played well, referring to TCU. So
I'm sure it's a really big deal for them to win this game after what we did to them last year. They were motivated. We got 66 on him. That's how he started it, apparently.
We're 3-3 in the last 6 times we played. They were the ones that chose not to play. And when you lose, you can't really say anything. But I think they know what we're building. I think they know what's coming. I think everybody else does. This stinks. I hate losing. I hate losing to them. I hate losing to anybody. I hate it for our players, our fans, our administration, our donors, everybody. They all care. They're all invested in this. But I know one thing, what we're building for the long haul. It's funny. You go 2-2 to start the season and people forget you've won 22 games in the last 2 years. Or you have not lost a conference game in almost 3 years in the regular season. We've done a lot to get where we are. We're just not there yet. The process is not linear. There are going to be ups and downs on the climb, but make no mistake, we're still climbing. And then I'm going to stick. We've got a lot of work to do. They won. They earned it. They didn't want to play us no matter what, whether they would have won or lost. So you'll have to ask them. We weren't the ones who wanted to stop playing the game. We're going to play the teams on our schedule. We're in the ACC, one of the best 3 leagues in America. We're going to go to Notre Dame next year. Then we're going to go to have OU come to town. Then we're going to go home and home with LSU, and then we're going to keep building a program that keeps playing on that stage. And we're not going to worry about what happens 40 miles west of us.
It seems like you are thinking about it a lot, though, because you're talking about how we don't want to, all these things is a really big deal. Like, I hate losing,
to them.
It's like, it does seem like you care. It's funny you go 2-2 to start the season. I mean, that's not a good start. I know you've lost to like pretty good teams, but even against Missouri State, they didn't look great. Look, if what you're building is a 2-2 team who lost to in the ACC championship game and then get blown out by Penn State, if that's what you're building, okay, cool. That's good for you guys. It's awesome.
Oh, wow. Oh, Kevin Jennings is throwing interceptions outside my window as we speak.
You just threw another one. Oh my goodness.
I don't want to rag on I like Kevin Jennings. I think he's good. Yeah, I think SMU has some work to do this season. I don't want to rag on him too much. I do respect Rhett Lashlee quite a bit, actually. I think that was, and what Sonny was able to do there to even Sonny Dykes is the whole reason that this rivalry even means anything to anybody, I think, actually, at this point. Because before Sonny Dykes got there in 2017 or whatever that was, SMU stunk. And they had stunk since the 80s, after the death penalty. Mm-hmm. And TCU had beat them for most of the 21st century because Gary Patterson, who was inducted into the TCU Hall of Fame this weekend, really happy about that, by the way.
That was
somewhat
awesome.
Surprised that it happened this soon, especially given how, the whole exit was a little tumultuous. But I think that having the athletic director who orchestrated that not be here anymore helps. And then, Gary had that operation running really smoothly, and SMU probably not that invested in football because they weren't playing all that well. But then Sonny gets there, they start winning games, a lot of games. They beat TCU in 2019. They beat him in 2021. And then TCU, and then obviously Sonny takes this job, which has obviously made it a whole lot more heated. And we talked a lot last week about this game going away. We won't dwell on that again now. Obviously, I think this is a podcast that is in favor of this game being played every year. I know we joked at the start that we want to not play it just so we can keep the trophy. But I do think this game matters more than it did 7 years ago. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see how much this game meant to all the fans and whatnot. And look, yeah, I know we're dogging on SMU a little bit, but hey, we're a TCU pod. We are obligated to do so a little bit,
We reserve the right.
And look, I know Rhett Lashlee's a great coach. What he did last year with SMU was impressive, and what he's done there with this program, they're going. He is right. They are going to be a good team, and I know I was joking about that earlier, but they are going to be good. But at the end of the day, to kind of say all that after you lose a game, and it does come off a bit salty. SMU's 2-8 against current Big 12 teams. Without Sonny Dykes, he's won one. They've only won one game since. Yeah,
they're SMU's 1-3 against TCU in the last 4 years.
Yeah, it just comes off a little low there, and probably not the thing you want to hear from your coach after a loss like that. Just kind of have to own up to it. TCU's dominated this series. There's other factors, I'm sure, but we definitely don't want this. We're sad it's going away, but at the end of the day, it's not like SMU has dominated this. TCU has been the team that's won this series consistently. So
yeah, it's a shame, TCU. We're just going to start up our fierce rivalry with Arkansas State next year. Pick it up, back up. Battle for the Iron Skillet will be against Arkansas State next year. That would be such a troll job if we were like we're putting the Iron Skillet on the line against Arkansas State. Arkansas State beats us. They get the Iron Skillet. This is our new rivalry now. That would be a very funny troll job.
I think more people would be less upset with it if TCU was playing like quality opponents. I think it's the teams that they are going to be playing over the next couple of years are like really like. So I do get the frustration, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. This is the last one. You got to stop saying that we don't want to play you guys. Like it's a little annoying.
Yeah, repetitive. I think we made the prediction on the Thursday show that like TCU and SMU will play another football game against each other. They will. I don't know when that will be. I have no clue. Maybe when Lashlee and Dykes are not the head coaches of the universities anymore, or of the football teams anymore. Don't know when that'll be. For Sonny Dykes' sake, I hope he's here for a long time and has a really good career at TCU. But don't know. All I can say is that right now, the Iron Skillet is currently at Amon G. Carter Stadium, and that makes me happy.
It makes us all very happy. It was a fun game. Man, we spent a long time talking about this game, but totally worth our time. On Wednesday, we'll do a preview for Arizona State. But before we do that, we're just gonna run through quickly just what happened in the Big 12 this weekend. Some big conference games went down this weekend. We got to talk about the first one that had a lot of stakes: Texas Tech and Utah. The Red Raiders going on the road, 10 a.m. kickoff, and at local time, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
local time, and handling the Utes 34-10. Big win for Texas Tech. It looks like they are going to be a threat in the Big 12, and that NIL spending is,
Paying off.
Is paying off.
Yeah, that roster looks different, especially on the lines of scrimmage. Like, they have some dudes on the D line that make me a little nervous should TCU ever meet him this year, given what we saw, what happened to TCU's offensive line against SMU. But there are dudes that they spent a lot of money on that played really well against a Utah offensive line that might be one of the best in the country. So this game was a fumble fest. I think there were like 5 fumbles in the first half. So just hold on. 10 a.m. kicks, man. Can't hold on to the football. But yeah, Texas Tech is the team to beat in the Big 12. That it was made very clear on Saturday morning.
It was a butt whooping for sure. Utah still has not won a home Big 12 game, I think.
No, 5 in a row they've lost.
That's crazy. That is crazy to think about.
Even last year's TCU team, like that, the vibes were terrible when they went into Salt Lake City. They were coming off losing to Houston, I think, and then went in there and won.
It's crazy. We're not gonna. I'm gonna leave out for the most part talking about Arizona State and Baylor because we can kind of talk about that in the preview. That was a big win for the Sun Devils. Tough loss for Baylor.
Good game. Good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. We got to talk about Oklahoma State. Goodness gracious, dude. We're losing to Tulsa, 19-12. Vibes have never been more crappier for Mike Gundy.
No, I was willing to try to, like, okay, so the Oregon game was bad. Like, that was really bad, but Oregon's really good. I know that Oregon's really good.
Yeah.
And obviously Oklahoma State can't compete with Oregon. And, maybe that was just, a little, not a blip on the radar, but like, that's going to be bad. Then I have the first half of the Tulsa game. I have it on. I'm watching it. And I'm like, surely no. And then Tulsa drives right down the field in the opening drive and like scores so easily. I was like, okay, this is bad. Zane Flores is not good. TCU great. Sam Jackson the fifth threw 1 pass in this game. I don't know if you remember Sam Jackson.
He's still playing? Oh, yes. My goodness.
Haas Haney and Sam Jackson are on Oklahoma State. People forget. But Haas Haney obviously got hurt in the opener. That would not have made a difference in this game whatsoever. Tulsa was the better football team. And yes, you are correct. The vibes in Stillwater have never been this bad. And I do want to spin this a little bit in a TCU way. There is a world where if TCU didn't let Gary go when they did, that this is what TCU would have looked like right now.
Wow, that's true. It could have been.
Because Gary, it was very clear he was not really adapting to the times. And Oklahoma State has not fully, like their NIL spending is not good right now. And so that program has gone completely off a cliff. And it sucks, right? That and they also really don't have a big way out of it. Gundy's buyout is massive. But they might just have to eat it because it's like, this is terrible. They're not going to win. They might not win another game.
Yeah. Not looking good over there in Stillwater.
Wish we played them. Crap. Why don't we? We don't get to play. TCU didn't get to play them.
I know. Please just let us get one of them. Yeah. It's tough right now for Oklahoma State. Just, gosh, I feel bad for their fans. It cannot be fun.
I feel bad for Haas Haney, if we want to do this. I don't know if he knew what he was getting himself into, but he was supposed to, like, there was a world where he was going to come in and be like do you remember TCU? I was like, he's going to be like the TCU star. His parents went here, like he's going to come into Fort Worth and
There's
be the
destiny.
guy. It was his destiny, and then now he's in a boat that is sinking. He's on the Titanic. That's what the Oklahoma State football program is right now.
They are sinking. They've already sunk.
They might be at the bottom of the. They're in the ocean right now.
They're not sinking.
The people are in the water. Rose and Jack
water.
are on the little door.
Barely hanging on by a thread.
Yes.
Rough vibes for Oklahoma State. Just quickly here, last couple. BYU rolled through East Carolina 34-13. Kansas with a big-time dominant win over West Virginia 41-10. That offense looks pretty good. And then UCF dominates the Bill Belichick's 34-9.
Yeah. Forgot to mention this. TCU is 2-0 against Jordan Hudson's.
Yes, we are. We are 2-0.
SMU wide receiver Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't think UCF's all that good. Who said maybe they are, but that was a butt whooping too. I thought North Carolina might have been turning a little bit of a corner after they beat Charlotte and Richmond, but that's on me, guys. That's on me.
Yeah. Forgot to mention also Colorado winning 37-20. They went back to Caden Salter at quarterback, and he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, got to imagine that Deion's probably going to stick with him.
That is looking like it was the most just
odd
impulsive decision ever, right? Because from what I understand, the logic was, okay, we're going to see how all 3 of them perform against Delaware, and then that will determine who starts the conference opener against Houston. And Staub he had the better stats, and maybe he looked better too, but I don't know if you can determine, who's going to start for you in your Big 12 games when you're playing Delaware.
100%. Yeah.
And then they did that. It didn't go bad. And then just play Caden Salter. He's been good before. He'll be good now, probably.
Yeah. Most likely, yeah. So that's kind of just a Big 12 in review. Again, on Wednesday, we'll do a preview for TCU taking on Arizona State because it's a Friday kickoff.
At 8 p.m. Central.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. on Fox. So it's going to be a late Friday. I think there's a concert going on campus at TCU right before the game. It was supposed to be fans were students were complaining because I think it was during the game, and then they moved it up. It's oh yeah, we have a game on Friday, but I think it's a country artist or something. But
okay, well, I'm so not in that world anymore.
Neither am I. I just saw it on Twitter. We're both graduated, so we're not pulling up to that, but we will be watching this game for sure.
Yes.
It's gonna be a fun one.
It should be. Obviously we'll talk about Arizona State more. I think there's a lot to discuss when it comes to the Sun Devils. They've had a very interesting start to 2025, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into them a little bit. Excited for Big 12 play to start. Very nervous for Big 12 play to start. I think we were, there was a world in my head where TCU entered Big 12 play 1 and 2 at the start of the season. Obviously, when we didn't know what North Carolina was going to look like, we just didn't. All we knew is that Bill Belichick had won 17,000 Super Bowls, so that's all we knew. But now you're 3-0 and you're heading into it against a Big 12 schedule that is easier than it was at the start of the year. I don't think that's an unfair statement. Yeah. Arizona State is not the super beast that we thought they'd be. Colorado has definitively taken a step back without Shedeur and Travis Hunter. Kansas State, I do not know what's happening there. Baylor is probably not as good as I thought they were going to be. I don't think they're terrible, but they're not super awesome. West Virginia, I have no idea. And Iowa State has been pretty good. BYU, I think, is fine. Houston is probably better than I thought. And then Cincinnati is kind of right where I thought they'd be. So we entered the schedule where like TCU had like a lot of ranked teams in their schedule. There's only one team that's ranked currently left in their schedule. So, speaking of, do you think TCU's ranked this week?
Yes, that's a good point. I don't think they're gonna be. I feel like they're gonna get left out. I totally think they should be ranked, and I think they've earned that right. But I think a win versus Arizona State might put them there. I think if SMU was ranked or if they looked a little bit better, then TCU would be ranked. But we'll see. I don't know when the AP poll comes out today, but should be coming out here pretty soon, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it should be like as we're recording this, it is not out, but probably whenever you're listening to this, you know the answer to whether TCU is ranked. I think that they'll slot in like 24 or 25. They were receiving enough votes last week, and I think enough teams, because I think Illinois probably drops out. I think Utah probably maybe drops out. I think Auburn drops out. That there should be a door open. That if a voter is, because like if a voter is just looking at who won and lost, they could maybe bump TCU up to that spot. But personally, I kind of hope that they're not. I think TCU plays better, at least over the past several seasons, when the expectations are very just like under the radar.
I agree. We'll see.
We will see. They will be rated they will be ranked in my poll, begrudgingly so. I was trying to do it, kind of keep it off as long as possible to eliminate any sort of jinxing of any sort.
Yeah. You guys go check out it's Seth's D poll. That's way more valid than the AP poll on Substack. You guys go follow him there. He talks about college football and all that.
Coming out on Tuesday. That'll be out on Tuesday at some point. Yeah. So, because I actually sit down and look at I take my time. I don't just sit in an airport and fill it up out real fast and send it off to my editor. I take my time. I compare and contrast.
Yes, it's what should be the process, but it's not. But that's okay. But I'm very excited to see that. But that'll wrap things up here for this episode of Believe in TCU. You can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube page, or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, all at Believe in TCU. So for Seth Dowdle, I'm Zion Trammell. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, go Frogs.